Well, Honorable Ndudi Elumelu joins us now to give some perspective on the goings-on concerning the power probe. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, you did something similar, your committee, to the extent that you looked at it from 1999 to 2007, wherein it was said that about $16 billion was spent at that time. But then there are those who are not in any way optimistic about this. They say, look, it's just going to be deja vu. We've done it before, didn't get much out of it. Give us some background. What exactly do you think? Are we likely to get the same results we're going to get from this one as we got when your committee investigated?
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Nigerians. I don't expect sin to do exactly the House of Rome as it relates to their finding. Let me give you a little background of what transpired in the House, leading to the investigative hearing or public hearing. Ndume, who is now a senator, was the one that brought up a point of order, saying that, he understands that so much money, the then visiting president of World Bank Africa, then obviously came and, I think the late President Yaradua queried her on the issue of certification when she was in charge of due process. And I think then she mentioned that what went through her was almost like $4 billion, which she certified, or 3-point-something billion that she certified as a due process officer. And thereafter, it generated a lot of discussions, and that led to it being brought before the House for deliberation. And 103 members signing with Ndume, after which, that was on the 31st of January 2008, after which a resolution was passed to my committee, which I chaired at that point. And after that, of course, we did what we needed to do. We went out on fact finding. We did public hearing. We lasted for almost a few weeks. And at that public hearing, a lot of revelations came up. We also went on, on the spot assessment of those who had alleged that they were on site, they were doing what they were needed to do. And we also found out that most of them were lies. In terms of what happened was that on their own, even then, the minister, who, of course, may her soul rest in peace, Ajia Fatima, was, then the minister, she reported how much actually was spent. Now, she gave an insight. She said $13.2 billion was actually spent, but totally it was meant to be $16 billion, but 12-point-something billion were committed already, but they were not actually spent. I mean, waiting for contractors to complete the project and they will be paid. And when we went to site, we found out that virtually most of the contractors abandoned their project. Some were paid 100%. Some even, registered companies outside the country, claim to be manufacturers, open LC in the names of those companies. And, the SCs were backed, fully backed by, cash backed. At the point that the tenor of the LC came in, of course, those companies needed to ask for their money in the Central Bank of Nigeria. However, when we finished this thing, we committed it to the House. People ask me, why didn't I go to when they committed it that they should review the report of the House? For me, myself and my committee had finished. I felt that history should judge us. I personally took it as a personal challenge as a Nigerian, because I had seen where people died as a result of power epilepsy. People who were trying to get kerosene in order for them to light their lamp, and because of that it blows off and they die. And I even in my constituency then that I was representing, we had so many substations that were abandoned. We had even 132, 33 kV substation, which was supposed to come from Kalabu, Obosi, and Toasaba. Since when it was awarded, It was never done until we came on board and decided to probe the sector. So all these things were highlighted. We did not dilute it. May he so rest in peace. When President Yaradua was alive, we finished it. We took a draft of it to him, and he looked at it and said we should not change any is or was. And that was how I presented it to the floor of the House. Now, when we did that, for me, I had finished my job, and I expected that the House would have, stood firm, not minding sectional interests, whether my brother is involved or my sister is involved, or I come from this. What was important was for us to make sure that there is electricity. And if you recall, your people followed us around. Your pressmen followed us around. They can speak for us. Every place we went to, you found out that because they knew we were coming, they were rushing to site. And it was awful in sight. And for me, we didn't dilute the report. We brought it as it were, the way we saw it. Because from day one, when we started on the spot assessment, I was writing my report. Every venue, every site that we visited, whatever I see, even on the road, whatever happens to us on the road, I was writing it in my books. So at the end of the day, I had finished my report, even at the point that we had finished our on-the-spot assessment. And we committed it to the House. Well, the House decided to do what they needed to do. That is not my taking. I have done my job. But I believe that history, for once, will always come back to haunt us if we don't do the correct thing. And I'm happy that Senate has taken upon themselves. I was listening to the PAMSEC saying that it's 2.7 trillion. And I don't want to argue with him, but if, as at between 1999 to 2007, $13.2 billion were said to have been assessed out of the $16 billion. If you convert that to the rate level of 218, you'll be talking about 2.9 trillion. That is between 1999 to 2007. So you're not talking about 2007 to 2015. But, I mean, it's left for people to look at that. So what happened, I feel that Senate, yes, what they are doing is to finish up what we couldn't finish.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do they have the benefits of getting a thing or two from your committee report? Because they're also looking at from 1999 to date, which you looked at 1999 to 2007.
If they want the truth, and if they don't want to dilute the truth, my report is in 8 volumes. They don't need to do any other job between 1999 to 2007. They should look at 2007 to 2015, and they will just add it up. And that will give them an insight, because we didn't dilute it, and we were very blunt. When we made our recommendations on people asking EFCC to further investigate, and in even EFCC followed us. And most of them were very bitter at the point that we were doing on the site. So, my brother, let me tell you the truth. Nigeria, we must change. We must, Buhari said he's asking for change. The change is that we must do things in a normal way. We must deviate. We must leave that comfort zone and come back to challenges that we have been faced. There's no reason why, after spending $13.2 billion, as it were, and we're still talking about 3,500 megawatts. I went to Itapu in Brazil. They spent only $12 billion, and they have 12,000 megawatts of electricity. So why can't we have same?
That's why it's very good that we have you here. This, again, would seem that this is not the first time we're getting to see a kind of probe or a look from the committees of the National Assembly into our power sector. Looking at the amount that has been released yesterday, and if we to go by what you just told us, it would seem that that's a far cry from what we have spent so far in seeing that we fix the power sector. What, in your own estimation, being that you have done or you have made an attempt with your committee before, what do you think is truly wrong in all of this?
Well, one is the willpower to stand by the truth. 2 is this issue of favoritism, or where I come from. Now looking at the composition of the committees in Senate, they are from different zones. At the point that they will be finishing, I don't know how it's going to come out. By the time they made their recommendations, and some people that they will be recommending for some penalties are from their zones, the tendency is that they may begin to lobby them. So those people must shun that and do what is right for the sake of Nigerians, for the sake of us having stable electricity. My brother, can you imagine? You wake up in the morning, you can't see light, you go and buy diesel 145 naira per liters. That is a sin against nature. We are highly gifted, naturally endowed in Nigeria. What do we have to show for it?
Did you come up with a report at that time?
Yes, I did. I did, and I made my recommendations. And even on the issue of the unbundling, I was the one that recommended they should be unbundled. At the initial time, even with the EPSR Act, you know, as at that time, they were just doing lip service in terms of unbundlement. So when I came on board, I took it as a challenge as a chairman House Committee on Power when we were doing the budget, and I decided to unbundle them. All the companies were giving subheads, and that was how CBN called all of them to open an account. And that was how they all started existing, because at that time they were still saying there is no PSCN. But you were having an MD of PSCN, even when the Act says PSCN should no longer be in existence. So in effect, it was unlawful to have them be in existence.